Hello, and welcome to season 3, episode 9 of Quaint and Cozy KC. I am your host, Lainey Renee, and I think I've been gone for a couple of weeks. I like Mother's Day. I released an episode and then I just floated off into the ether. That is the Quaint and Cozy KC lifestyle. One of the things about doing this podcast, I look forward to doing it all the time. Like I'm always like thinking about, oh, this would be really cool on the podcast. This would be really cool to blog about, really cool to post on social media, all the things. And I sometimes I get a little like, man, I want to do more. And I have to remind myself, hey, I'm working a full-time job. Plus, I have another podcast and blog. Plus, I'm a social person. So I'm out here and I've got one more thing I'm going to add to my plate. And, sometimes I'm going to be able to come 3 weeks in a row with a show. And sometimes it's going to be a couple of weeks in between shows. And we're just going to work with it. But as long as you're out there living the quaint and cozy KC lifestyle, you're out there supporting your local museums, your local libraries, your local parks, fountains, looking at the local fountains, all the things in your town, whether you are listening in Kansas City, the Kansas City area, or outside of, northeastern Kansas, Southwest Missouri, wherever you are. I hope that you are, able to enjoy the locality where you live. That's a very long way of saying, support your local folks as much as you can. Okay, now I'm going to start this episode off with Englewood Park. Okay, now this is not Englewood up to no good. This is actually in Kansas City, and it's like a count. It's a park, but it's also a lake. And you guys, I'd never heard of this place. I just happened to be driving by on my way from grocery shopping, and I'm like, is that a body of water? Like, what am I seeing? Right now, I was very safe about it. I decided I was like, you know what? I'm not going to like, whip my car around or do anything like that or like crane my neck too far. I'm just going to, I'm going to wait a couple days. When I have some time, I'm going to swing back around. And I'm so glad that I did. I had no idea. Now, this is not a lake that you swim in or anything like that. I saw people fishing in the lake, and I was like, okay. I mean, that's, okay, that's a thing, I guess. But it just really nice wooded park area as well. And I mean, I just thought it was gorgeous. It was so pretty out there, and they've got like places to sit. And it was the kind of park that people just go to. And I saw a couple of walkers and everything, but it has like a picnic area. And it's at Englewood Road and North Troost Avenue. And this is like, in the Northland, north of the river, just to be clear. Um, so I guess they do have a lake. They stock it periodically, and it's the Missouri Department of Conservation. So, yeah, I was like, oh wow. Like when I saw the people fishing, I was like, I had no idea this is what, um, you know, was that goes on there. So I would definitely, that's a really great place to picnic. They had like some things for like some kids to play on, but it's not one of those parks where I'm like, yeah, the equipment is, there's so much equipment. There wasn't a ton of equipment. I think it's more of a park for just to kind of look at the lake. There's beautiful flowers, like trees, all the things, just to get an atmosphere. It's a great place to picnic. I could already tell. I was kind of sad that I didn't bring like a picnic with me, but I did take some pictures and I'm going to post them. I'm not sure if I cannot remember if I posted them on Facebook or not because I was doing a lot, but I've got a blog post coming out about it if I haven't already. It's probably scheduled for the next couple of days. And yeah, you'll definitely want to check that out. And I found this at kcparks.org. Like when I was kind of like, after I looked it up, I was like, well, let me just look this up and get some more information. And I'll talk about that a little bit later in the podcast because there's this whole thing that I don't want to say I discovered it. I rediscovered it. Okay. That's a better way because otherwise I'm a little embarrassed that I'm like, not really using these resources as a purveyor of the quaint and cozy KC lifestyle. Next up, I went to Atkins-Johnson Farm and Museum. Now you guys are like, oh my gosh, you always talk about that place. You're always shouting it out. You're always on your Facebook and everything. But you know what? I love this place. It's in Gladstone. It's a farm, and and they've got like museum exhibits. And so what they do, I think I want to say it's like every other month, every 4 to 6 weeks, they have a new exhibit. So this time the exhibit was about music in America, like the sounds of, music in America. So it was kind of cool. And I think it's going to switch out next month. I think it's going to talk about segregationist um, education, something like that. And so I'm excited to see that. They always put on a really nice exhibit, very simple, but very straightforward. And so I did post a couple of pictures on my Quaint and Cozy Casey Facebook page. And another thing that I like about this farm and museum is that, the farmers market isn't there. Gladstone Farmers Market is not happening this year. Lots of stuff went on. So hopefully next year we can get a farmers market again. But in the meantime, they do have like they're gonna have like festivals. They have a car show coming up. They're gonna have like the Big Shoal Creek event that they have in the early fall, and then they'll have the sunflowers will come back and they do the pumpkins. And I always say, listen, there's some great places to see sunflowers in the summer, and there's great places for pumpkins in the fall. But what I love about Atkins-Johnson Farm is that they don't charge you like to park. There's no when I mean park, like they don't charge you a gate fee. You just come in, you just pay for the pumpkin or you pay for the sunflower and you go home. And I think it's a perfect way to spend some time. You're going to take some pictures. I see people taking pictures in the sunflowers. I was doing that too, taking pictures in the pumpkin patch. I was doing that too. And I can, buy my pumpkin and just be on my way. And but again, there are a lot of other fun places, that you can, there's kind of like a gate fee and you kind of like, it's like a whole experience. But I like this because this kind of gave, I call it like a little micro experience, um, a little mini experience, just a glimpse, a taste of doing that. And then you got to go home or go and do, your other errands. But yes, Atkins Johnson Farm, located in Gladstone. Oh my gosh, Farming Museum, you got to check it out. I would say if you're like, because again, when the farmers market was there, I'd say, oh, you can spend a couple hours, kind of walking around and then go in the museum. But I would say it's probably going to take you maybe 30 minutes in the museum. And then they've got walking trails. So if you're someone who wants to walk around and kind of like take pictures of nature, all that stuff, then definitely like, maybe an hour, 90 minutes, depending on how hot or cold it is outside or whether or not it's raining. But it's just a beautiful property. And it's kind of like my farm home away from home kind of thing. Okay, now let's talk about the Lawrence Farmers Market. I finally was able to go to the Lawrence Farmers Market. Unfortunately, I didn't get the best pictures, and I'll tell you because it's located in downtown Lawrence. So if you're familiar with Lawrence, Kansas, KU's there. It's already kind of a compact place. And so, because in my mind, for some reason, I thought it was like I didn't realize it was downtown. I don't know why, because I hadn't been to it. And so I was like, gosh, this feels kind of like kind of weird that it's not like on an actual farm. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just my mind was like it's on a farm. um so it's downtown, so it was really hard to take pictures because again, it does a brisk business. There's a lot of people walking around. They're trying, this is how they shop. This is the, you got to think at the farmers market, yes, people are there to kind of look around and like, be seen and see their people and all that stuff, but they're also there to shop. It's like it's also that's their groceries, right? And then people are trying to make money selling their things. So you don't want to like clog up the works by like, oh, hang on, I got to take pictures of this stuff. So I tried to get as many pictures as I could, really good ones. And I was trying not to have a lot of people in the pictures just because, I didn't want to have to, ask them for permission. I tried not to put people in my pictures. I just want to like take a picture of the thing and go on. But unfortunately, it was really hard for me to get the sign. And then like because the sun was like it was shadowy that day. It was just I just had so many problems. So perhaps I'll go later this season and take some pictures again. Now that I kind of have an idea what the lay of the land is, I can go back and take some better pictures. But again, you know what? It's really progress over perfection. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna do what I can do, and then I'll put that on the list for like a return. And then I went to Ivanhoe Farmers Market. I did do that as well. And I had a lot of fun going there. And I think maybe I'm trying to think of in the last podcast, which seems so long ago, but it was only 2 weeks ago. I believe I might have mentioned a little bit. Maybe I gave a little bit of a glimpse of it. I just want to make sure I'm like kind of looking through my old notes to see. I don't want to repeat myself. Although, again, okay, so I have not talked about that yet. The Ivanhoe Farmers Market. Now, here's the thing, it happens once a month. It's the second Saturday from May. So I went to that all the way to October. So you still have time for the second Saturday to go down there. And what I like about it, it's like the neighborhood. It's a neighborhood thing, and it's like, oh, hey, it's our monthly neighborhood party, and people come out and there's some great vendors out there. You definitely want to check that out. I loved how there's a lot of food vendors out there. I saw a couple of artisans, but mainly it was a lot of food. I saw a lot of food vendors out there, and then they have live music. And also, just so you know, the passports are back. I think I talked about this in another podcast, but the 2025 KC Farmers Market passports, they are back, you guys. I'm so excited for this. So excited for it. I have mine. And so I've got to put it back in my car because last year, I was riding around with that thing. So I'm like, oh my gosh, my thing. And I would like run up like a fangirl. I was fangirling so hard on those passport booklets. But yes, this is exciting stuff when you're into this quaint and cozy KC lifestyle. I used to make fun of my grandma and my dad's mom and my aunts for really being into this, but now I see like what the appeal of it is. Okay. Now, also, let's talk about some things that, like, let's go back to what I started talking about the kcparks.org, right? That's KC Parks and Rec, KC Parks and Rec. I was like, wow, they have an event calendar. Now, listen, I knew this back when I was fostering kids and stuff like that. I was always about looking at, okay, what's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on here? But, I stopped fostering kids and everything. And then my nieces and nephews, they're all like, they're too cool, right? To like do like the other stuff that they were doing when they were smaller. So I kind of fell out of like, the loop when it came to like the Parks and Rec stuff. So now I'm back on the loop. Because now I'm that auntie. I'm back on the loop and I'm like, wow, there are so many things going on that if you just check out the KC parks.org, they've got events and they're always it's popping, you guys. It really is popping. And it looks like they have a lot of daytime events as well. So another one that I saw was, another thing that I would say to do is how about go and check out your city calendar, right? No matter where you're at, your city has like like their calendar. It's like, oh, here's the city calendar. This is what's going on. It'll probably tell you about like their city council meetings, some other stuff like that. But then it'll also talk about like, oh, hey, we're gonna have some musicians playing, during these certain times, especially right now in when the weather's warmer. So we're gonna have musicians playing. A lot of times they do things during the week or like a Saturday afternoon, something like that. You got to go check that out and see what that is. But or they might have a lecturer coming in, a historian, like all the good nerdy stuff, or a museum exhibit, right? That might be showing up for a little bit. So you got to go to your city calendar, whatever city you live in. You know what to do. You can run an internet search on that, your city, and then like I usually put downtown plus the city, and that usually brings up the city calendar. Also, there's a county calendar. Yes, there is a county calendar. And I'm like, oh wow, there's count. Like again, I know it sounds like, girl, are you that brand new? And sometimes I think I am, but I'm like, oh wow, there's another way to find events. Because what happens is with social media, we are so trained to go, oh, well, what's on the social media app? What are they advertising? And you forget out, you really forget that there are other sources, there are other calendars outside of Facebook. There's other, notifications outside of TikTok and Instagram and all the stuff. So again, I mean, it's pretty old school, but hey, the old school works. And then visit mo.com. That's the state of Missouri. That's going to give you all kinds of, different activities, and they even have it broken down into the quadrants of the state, right? Like, southwest, southeast, northwest, northeast. Like it's all broken up into like a quadrant, which is I think that's kind of helpful if you're not familiar with, where all the cities are located. And then if you're on the Kansas side, you got Johnson County Parks and Rec. That's one I was really all about. And then, whatever city that you live in, you can look at their calendar, and then travelkansas.com. It looks like another very helpful one as well. And then if you do internet searches, just again, like arts in Kansas City or arts in Johnson County, like all of these things are going to come up, and you are going to find all kinds of cool things, like not just food things. Again, I love food. I have a whole food podcast and I love to eat and cook, but sometimes you don't want to cook, you want to craft, right? Or sometimes you want to listen to music, or you want to go and play music, or it's poetry reading season, like all the things, like open mics. I've noticed like more of those are prevalent, so I'm going to have to hit up one of those. There's all kinds of things. So, calendars are really helpful and also just kind of like brainstorming ideas. And that's where, another really good place that I'm finding. And I just sort of, I think I discovered this a while ago and then I kind of forgot about it. But there's a place, it's called Northland Lifestyle, and it's catered towards people that live north of the river in Kansas City. But I'm going to, after this podcast, I'm going to go and I'm going to research some more places to tell you about because I know some of my stuff, especially in the beginning, was very Northland centric. But I know, look, there's a big whole world out there, and there's whole other cities outside of my little quadrant of the Northland, although it is a really lovely quadrant. But yes, there are other things out there. And so, I want to make sure to kind of include as much as I can. Okay, now I'm going to move on to, and then just real quick, you can find Northland Lifestyle at citylifestyle.com/Northland, or you can go, if you're still on Facebook, you can go and check that out. Now, what are some of the upcoming things that I'm doing? Well, besides like way too much, but I'm having so much fun doing it. I don't want to ever complain about this life because I'm having such a good time. It's a lot, but I'm having such a good time. You know, one of the things, now don't laugh, please, if you can promise me if you're listening to this, you're not going to laugh. So I was out maybe a couple of weeks ago and I was in the Northland and I saw this. I was like, is that a train? Is that a miniature train with people on it? Not just little kids, but like adults sitting on there too. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I looked it up and there's a KC miniature railroad in the Northland. And yes, I will be. And they're open. I think they're open every day except for maybe one day during the week, but they're open on Sundays, Saturdays, Sundays. And that's key because sometimes things are open on Saturday. So you're stacking all those activities on a Saturday. But then, then because Sunday it's not open, right? But like what I'm trying to do is start going to things on Sundays whenever I can. So that just kind of ensures that I'm now out here going to 7 things on a Saturday. And yes, in my hall of shame, there was one day, one Saturday, I went to like 5 different activities. I started at like 7 a.m. and I just kept going to like maybe 11 p.m. And maybe I had a couple breaks, but I was like, dang, the next day I was feeling it. So I'm kind of like, you know what? Maybe I can move some things off my plate on Saturdays and kind of go more towards and some things are open after work on Fridays. I might do that, or I just might move it to Sundays as well. But yes, KC Miniature Railroad, you're going to see, I'm going to be writing about that. I'm going to be taking pictures. I'm going to be talking about that. I've got no shame. I love trains. Love, love, love them. Also, what I was looking at is, earlier I talked about the different concert series. Well, Downtown Liberty, historic Downtown Liberty, y'all, they are about that life. They are sitting here like I remember 5, 6 years ago, they would do things, but it wasn't popping. And again, this is before the pandemic. Like they would do things, but it just wasn't popping in the same way. Y'all, they are lit. It's Litty City in historic downtown Liberty. They have got these summer band concerts on Tuesday nights. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's something to do. That, again, choose the day you can do it. Sometimes when I talk about these things with people in the real world, they're like, I can't do that. I got kids. I can't. And I'm like, when could you do it? What would be a good day? Like, think about when you've got like little pockets of time, like little bits that you can move over here. Maybe you can get a babysitter. You can do that thing that my parents used to do is like they were friends with other married couples with kids. And sometimes it'd be a thing where like all the kids would be at one person's house for like 2, 3 hours watching movies. So, mom and dad could go out and, have dinner, just kind of breathe, right? Or see a movie. And then, so again, like just think about like maybe you could kind of think of it that way. But yeah, I mean, just kind of that's what I would do. Like that's what I do now. I don't have children living with me right now, but I do kind of think of that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I got to do this and this and this, but I want to still try to slice off a little time. And sometimes slicing off a little time is I can't go to dinner at the restaurant I wanted to try, but what I can do is I can pick up takeout from that restaurant and try it that way. Or I've got just enough time to go to that bakery and grab something to go and, try their stuff for the first time. Cause I'm trying to like make sure that at least once or twice a week I try something new, whether it's like a new sip of something, right? Or it's like, a small little side of something. I just want to keep going. I don't want to lose my progress with that because there was a time where I was like only trying things like every 3 months, something new because my life was in a very different place. Okay. Now I'm coming back. I was like, I'm coming back. The other things I'm looking forward to doing, farmers markets. Okay, there's a Waldo farmers market, I guess, in the Waldo area. And I saw that. I was like, wait, because I'm always trying to see if there's a new farmers market, something, I want to, because there's some that I haven't tried yet, but I always want to just try to make sure that I'm going in the right direction, because a lot of times it is a limited kind of season. So it is a Waldo's Farmers Market in the Waldo neighborhood, and it is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, I don't know, like I'm like on the fence because I got a lot of places to be on Saturday. So I got to figure out how I'm even going to do Saturday. Okay, I can't figure out how I'm going to even do Saturday, but I'm going to try. So it is sponsored by the Three Trails Community Church. So I'm very excited to like try out this um to try out this farmers market. I think it's going to be great because again, I've never been to a bad farmers market. Like, I've had people say, "Oh my gosh, that farmers market, it's just," I'm like, "It's not an event farmers market." There's a difference between a farmers market that is like Overland Park or historic downtown Liberty or the city market or, Blue Springs, where that's a destination place, right? Other markets are a little smaller. They're more for, hey, this is like an extension of my grocery shopping. You're going to see your people, right? And you're going to see all your friends, like the regular people. But at the same time, it's more of that, like it's more of a grab and go situation. And sometimes you can't farmers market the same way each week. You might not have enough time for that destination farmers market. It might be more like, oh, hey, I got to go to a smaller farmers market. Either way, you're supporting the farmers market. And to me, that is the most important thing. So I'm Salina. I'm going to be going to Salina this summer. So I'm excited to try out their farmers market. And then also I've got to return to Mission Market. I did on my other podcast, Aunt Lady's Kitchen, I did interview the Mission Market manager, and I was unable to go to I was not able to make it to the Mission Market because where I was working, it was like it was going to be too hard for me to like come out of downtown and get there on time. But now I got a little bit of a different work situation, and so I will be able to make it to that market. It's on Thursdays. Now, unfortunately, it's first day. I will not be around. I am going, I've got like some vacation things going on. Thank goodness for house sitters and plant sitters and neighbors and all that other stuff helping me out because I usually don't leave for longer than 3 days, but I'm actually going to extend it to 5 days. And so thankfully I've got like a house sitter and everything coming by. And so that's pretty exciting to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't had a house sitter in a long, long, long time. So I'm excited for that. I will actually be in Vermont for a farmer's market. I'll be in like Burlington, Vermont. So I'm excited for that. Hopefully, I can make it also. I can try to do two in a day. I might not be able to do that though. And I'm trying to be really like realistic about what I can and cannot do because there's actually a farm in the area near where I'm going to be staying. So I'm like, well, if I don't make the farmer's market, I can go to like the other farmer's market down the road and another city, hopefully, again, because their farmers markets start at 9 a.m. And I'm so used to the ones here that start at like 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m., but they start theirs a little bit later. And so I'm like, I'm going to be running because, now hotels make you check out at 11 a.m. So it's going to be like a sprint, an Uber sprint to go there, take as many pictures as I can, and then get back to my hotel so that I can check out and head on to the next city. So I'm very excited about that. Also, there is a farmer's market in Richmond, Missouri. They have a farmer's market, and there's also a farmer's market in Platte City that I want to check out. And I've got to write that down because someone asked me, they're like, hey, Platte City has one too. Or, yeah, okay, yeah, Platte City. Hang on. I'm like writing this down. Okay. So I want to go to that one as well. And then Smithville, Smithville, Missouri, that happens on Wednesdays. And that can be a challenge. But this year I'm like, no, because I've been trying to go since 2022. So I'm like, no, Ellen, you've got to get out there. You've got to go and take the initiative on a Wednesday, to leave work just a little bit early. So, because I'll be sitting in traffic and get out there and take some pictures and experience it. Because I know everyone talks about how great it is. So I'm like, I've got to get out there. No excuses this year. Okay, now I'm looking through all my lists because I've been gone for a little bit from this podcast, so I'm like, okay, what else? Okay, so I do have some upcoming things. Um, I'm going to be going to Strawberry Hill Museum in KCK, and I've been trying to go here for a while, right? And they kind of suggest that you book before you go down there. And again, I'm totally fine with that. I love that. So I did that. I'm also going to be trying Slaps barbecue as well. So for the first time. I don't think I've had Slaps barbecue. Someone said I think you've had it. I don't remember it. So I'm excited to try that. I'm meeting some friends out to try that this weekend. So it's going to be very jam-packed. And I'm sure in my next podcast that I do, I'm going to be talking to you all a lot about Vermont, but I think I'll also get really inspired about, some other things going on. And I also was looking to see, I'm like, something else I want to talk about some point is I want to go over some there's some local podcasts that we have, and some of them I've listened to, some of them I haven't. But I'm always like, when I go on road trips or I travel, I try to listen to Kansas City stuff because that's my time to catch up with things, and maybe I'll resonate with one of the podcasts and listen to it regularly. And so one of the things, one's called I did write some down. There's something about KC, Kansas City Today, KC Revival. I think there's one called KC by Sari. She interviews people. I've been listening to her for a while. And then Kansas City with Jason Nivens. Now I haven't listened to any of these, so I plan on when I'm traveling next week. I plan on listening to these and getting a feel for them, see if there's anything that kind of resonates with me, and then also some of the cozy podcasts that I kind of like. Now I don't listen a cozy podcast for me. I'm not listening to it all the time. Sometimes with my cozy podcasts, I only listen to them when I have got to declutter, I do laundry. It's a special kind of thing. I'm not just sitting in my house listening to them. I'm usually doing like housework. And so Business of Home, that's kind of like there's a host and he basically talks to people in the home design, home decor, architectural space, and that's very interesting. I love hearing people, especially, and there's one I love hearing people talk about their craft and the passion and just like the knowledge that they have. It really to me is very inspiring. Now I do actually know a lot about interior design and interior decorating and stuff like that. But I'm like not an expert. I don't have a degree in it. I just kind of have to. I know that because my mom was really into that, and so I knew all about the fabric swatches and all that stuff as a kid. But yeah, like I love that. That's like for me a great podcast to do my laundry to. And then For the Love with Jen Hatmaker. Now she's a little bit more, she just interviews very interesting people and she has themes and all that stuff. And some people resonate with her, some people don't. I like her. She's not for everybody. The Slow Style Home. I've only listened to a couple of these episodes, and again, perfect for doing, I would say perfect for doing housework or even just sitting out on your deck and just maybe like sipping on some tea or something like that. Just a very laid back, just kind of thing. And then the Beginner Gardener podcast. Now, I like this podcast. It's a little, I don't want to call it hype, but because it's a beginner garden podcast, they are teaching you things. You're learning. Now you can sit and passively do that. Some people can't do that. They're like, oh my gosh, it was too much stress. My mind didn't shut off. I started writing things down. It's not for everybody, but it's a great way to kind of tiptoe into gardening, kind of like learn what things are. And then the Joy of Home. Now I noticed they haven't updated for this month, but it's two ladies. I think one is Scandinavian, the other one she is British, and she used to be like in the fashion industry, and she runs like a content. She's a content creator that runs Hill House. She's really beautiful. Like she bought this castle, this like manor home years ago. It's just gorgeous. She's on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm not sure she's on Facebook, but her content is so beautiful. So again, if you're in the mood to do that, then also what I want to do as well is I'm going to go and my streaming services that I have, I'm going to go through and just kind of like go through them and see where the comfort shows are. Now, everybody is different with what brings them comfort, but I definitely think that, sometimes these days right now, comfort's a good thing, right? And we're all kind of like getting our gardens together. Like for me, I am a kitchen gardener. I've got my kitchen herb garden, got my little clay pot, my little clay pots, and everything going on. And I've remembered this year, like, hey, you can't just water them and look at them and take pictures of them. You actually have to eat the things that are, or use the things that you are taking pictures of. And so again, that's helping too. I'm like, oh, I've got to, like probably like once a week or so, twice a week, I make sure to use the basil, to use the rosemary, the oregano, like all of the things. Um, and so, I'm going to be just so to go back to that, the thing about the shows, I'm going to go through and maybe I'll add that, like maybe a top five, like, hey, here's some comfort shows you might want to check out. Maybe I'll be able to do that with podcasts, all that stuff. It's something that I want to kind of sprinkle in because I know, like, I do like podcasts that have formulas, but I think with my podcast, it's a little all over the place, but I think that's part of the appeal because it's like it's just part of the appeal for me at least. Okay, I don't know what the listeners are saying. I'm just saying for me, it's kind of fun to like be a little bit more spontaneous with things. So thank you so much for listening. I know this is a little bit of a shorter show, but I've got a lot of stuff that I'm going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully I can get you a show 2 weeks from now. Because I'm not sure I'm not going to do a show while I'm in Vermont, but yeah, I am really excited about this summer. Also, I did want to mention something else. I do plan on going to Lewisburg still, and Pittsburgh, and Fort Scott, and St. Joe, and Columbia, Missouri. You're like, oh my gosh, when you're going to find the time? I don't know, but I'm going to find the time. Columbia, Missouri, and Herman. I'm also eyeing Hannibal, but that might be more in the fall. 'Cause I don't think I've been there. Like, I don't remember going there. And I might have gone as a kid because we used to do a lot of uh, cross country traveling through Missouri, but I do not remember it. So I feel like I need to go and see it as an adult. So if you want to find more information about me, you can go to quaintandcozykc.com. I am also on Instagram under Quaint and Cozy KC, and you can also find me on the Tickety Tockety and on Facebook under Quaint and Cozy KC. Take care, everyone. You know what? I wonder if there is one more thing I want to say to you. I feel like I'm forgetting something, and you're like, girl, just land the plane. But I can't land the plane yet. I'm trying to see here. I felt like there was one more thing I was supposed to talk to you about, but if not, if there is one more thing, I'll just come back. I'll come back and do a short show and talk about it. How about that? That sounds good. Okay, take care, everyone. I will talk to you soon.